Yes, welcome back. So let's continue, okay?
Yeah.
So let's look at the stages of our development. For every baby, there are certain things typically babies do, no matter which culture, no matter where in the world, okay? That their development stages are everywhere the same. And from 0 to 3 years for every baby, it's called the infant stage, okay? And the main task for a little baby is to learn to receive unconditional love and care. You see, this is very important. First 3 years, a baby is fully depending on the parents for everything. There's no way that baby survives by him or herself. So it's the main task for that baby is to learn to receive unconditional love. The baby doesn't need to do anything to deserve anything. Okay? And that is exactly the important key lesson for that baby to learn. For me to be loved and for me to be cared for, I do not need to earn it. Now, when the love is not properly given and the care is not properly given, that little child will already start conceiving in his or her mind that I have to do something to get it. I have to earn it. And that's a problem because love and care is not something that needs to be earned. Never. I mean, love that is earned is not love. That is, at least not agape. Agape is unconditional love, is God's love. That's the love we need. Otherwise, they learn that there is only philia, which is brotherly love, which has conditions, or even worse, people later on in life start confusing lust and love with one another. And lust is not love, not at all. Okay? Lust is selfish, love is selfless. They're the opposite. So now, when a child learns, a little baby, to receive love unconditionally and care unconditionally, then the result is that we are stimulated to take care of ourselves. Okay? And that's very important. There's no school where you just can learn this. This is just a natural thing when a child is in the healthy conditions and circumstances where he's supposed to be. So if it is failed, we will try to live all our life through others to fulfill our needs. Now, maybe you recognize this in some people, and maybe you might recognize it to some level or extent in your own life, that you always feel that you need other people to take care of you, otherwise you are lost. Okay? Now, don't confuse this with the fact that the Lord brings help through other people. Okay? So, yes, we do receive a lot of love and care through other people, but we are never to make them our strength. This is what Jeremiah speaks about, Jeremiah 17. When you make flesh your strength, you trust on man, you will become like a bush in the wasteland, in a salty desert where no one lives. That's exactly the kind of life people start living if they have not learned naturally to receive unconditional love and care. Now, to a 0 to 3 year old baby, if that is given, it comes naturally. If we do not get it in that stage, later on in life, it does no longer come naturally because other things, other fake solutions have taken the place. And we have to intentionally clear out the lies, and intentionally start learning these lessons. And it will most times take much more time. Okay? But if you see people who always hang around other people to take care of them, then please understand what is going on in that person's life and what has gone wrong. Okay? What are the primary needs in that stage? Is feeding, hugs, love, care, and to be the sparkle in the parent's eyes. Okay? And the prefrontal cortex, as I said, the joy center needs to develop. Now, if we look in it more detailed, we speak still about the first 3 years, okay? The first 12 months is primary just joy building, okay? And as I shared already with you, when the joy is to full capacity, the baby turns the head and goes to sleep, to go to Peace Valley. Now, there are some things important to understand. After 12 months, the first, let me say like this, till 18 months, a baby never experiences two emotions at the same time. Okay? So a baby or is all joyful or is just all crying, just hungry, and then there is nothing else. The baby is just hungry. And you see, when a baby is hungry and is crying, you can try to pet the baby, say, oh yeah, mommy is coming in 20 minutes, mommy is coming, and you pet the baby, you try to look at the eyes, look, everything is nice. You try to play with the baby to make the baby happy, and nothing will work, nothing. Why? The baby has one emotion, that's hungry, and the baby needs food, okay? And the only thing you can do to stop that baby from crying is giving food. That baby is not manipulating you. That baby has just one emotion. And that baby has not yet learned to return from that emotion to another one till that emotion is satisfied. Okay? So the first 12 months is just learning to build joy. After those 12 months, the baby has to learn to return to joy. Okay, so after 12 months now, when something happens, maybe the baby got scared of something, okay, or the baby was feeling very uncomfortable. Now you can start learning the baby to return back to joy. So from the negative emotion, go back to joy. So the baby learns now to go back to joy. For every single emotion that he experiences, when it is a negative emotion, return back to joy. Okay? This is very important because after the 15th month, the limbic system, where the emotions are generated, turns on fear and anger. So up to 15 months, there is most times no fear and no anger. Okay? They can be hungry, but they will not be angry. Now, till this point, the practicing of turning back to joy from all the other emotions must have happened, and the baby must have learned to return back to joy. Okay? Now, from the 15th to the 18th month, the baby needs to learn to return back from anger and fear as well. And this is very important because after the 18th month, all the singular emotions start joining together. Okay? So now, after 18 months, a child can start experiencing different emotions at the same time. But more importantly, the child will combine all the emotions together as a package. And that's what remains the rest of our life. You cannot, maybe if somebody has been very sad, very deeply been grieving and says, I never want to be this sad again, and tries, can you switch off sadness and still experience all the other emotions? No. Sometimes people try to do, but then you basically switch off all your emotions, except anger. Anger you can always experience. But all the other emotions will switch off. You either experience all emotions or no emotions. Okay? You cannot be selective with emotions. They're all there. Now, when at 18 months, all the emotions will join together, that the baby has learned to return back from to joy. Now, for example, if a baby has learned to return back to joy from all the emotions except for fear. If there are scary things going on, maybe a war situation or an abusive situation. No, I've seen this kind of things with children being born in the brothels, you know, with the mothers being in prostitution. There's a lot of fearful stuff. And so babies then cannot return back to joy from fear, because often a lot of neglect is there as well. What then happens is that all the other emotions join together as a package, because they have learned to return back to joy from all the other emotions, but not from fear. And so they build their identity around all the other emotions. They know how to handle them, return back to peace and to joy, except fear. And if that child later on, anything fearful happens, the child will panic. And the child will become like a complete different personality, as if he is a complete different person when anything fearful happens. And if that is not, if no help is given, professional help, that goes on in the rest of that person's life. So somebody can be an adult, and when a certain emotion is triggered, that person will panic and go crazy. And like, especially with fear or with anger, this can happen. When people kill somebody out of anger, often this is the kind of case. They don't know how to handle that emotion and go from 0 to 100% instantly, and like you can't control it, because there is no capacity to return back to joy. And there is a separate identity built around that emotion compared to the other emotions. Okay? So do you understand what I'm speaking about? If you have any question, you please ask, okay? This is just in ministry when you observe certain things, you know, most times people don't understand, and they say, he has a problem, he has an anger problem, or he's just scared, you know, like they sometimes can even mock people who struggle with this. But I want you to understand that this comes from childhood upbringing, and these are real and serious issues, okay? And it's very helpful if you understand somebody, and that will help you how to minister to someone or care for someone, okay? And lots of people in ministry lack this kind of understanding. Now, and then between 2 and 3 years of age, a child has to learn to be the same person under all circumstances, okay? And to understand what is going on, to understand what they are feeling, to understand what is happening, and to be able to bring that in balance. And to still trust, to still have faith, to still have hope, no matter what is going on, okay? To become a stable person. Do you see that this is supposed to happen between 2 and 3 years of a baby? But many adults still don't know. Okay, when their youth, when their childhood is chaos, or when they grow up in an alcoholic home, they never learn this. And that's why they have lots of problems when they grow up. Many times when people get kicked out of a DTS, these are the kind of problems you face. But many times it's not understood. We have to learn to understand people's behavior. Why are things happening that, you know, why do people do what they do? What is the issue behind it? Okay, and then our response will automatically become very different from what we see now often. Okay, and you need to understand the Lord, he created this system. Okay, everything I explained, this is what the Lord created. This is his plan. So do you understand that when the Lord looks at people and he looks at our behavior and at our issues, that he looks at it very differently from most people? And so it is very important we get some understanding how the Lord created us, so we understand what is going on behind somebody's outward behavior. Now, I want to give you a story, a testimony of the Lord's goodness and the Lord's healing in this kind of regards, okay? The pictures you see here are from the ghetto of Kingston. Now, when I did my counseling school in YWAM, my Foundations Counseling Ministry School, I did that in 2001, our outreach was going to Jamaica. I guess you might have heard reggae music? Israel? I mean, even in Nigeria, sometimes on the radio, they play reggae music.
Yes, I have.
Yes, well,
Sorry, I forgot I
yes,
was muted.
yes. So the ghetto of Kingston is the birthing ground of reggae music. That's where reggae music comes from. Have you ever heard of Bob Marley?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Well, he was no more alive, but I was at his house. I've been inside his house where he used to live. You know that song that I think is still a song that is like always played again, like No Woman, No Cry. I was at the very waterfall where he made that song. So even though it is a lie, No Woman, No Cry is not true. No woman, lots of cry. At least you need one wife. No, you don't need two. That is a lot of cry, but you need one wife. Otherwise, you're not complete. But that's a different topic. The thing of the ghetto of Kingston. You know, Kingston is half of the population of Jamaica lives in Kingston. The other half lives on the rest of the island. Kingston is divided in uptown and downtown. Downtown is the ghetto and uptown is the rich area. And there is a little bit of in between. So half the population is in uptown, half the population is in downtown. So basically 1/4 of the population of Jamaica lived in the ghettos of Kingston. Now, in the ghetto of Kingston, the ghetto is divided in different areas, and every area of the ghetto is ruled by a don. And the dons are connected to the political parties. And so different parts of the ghetto are also politically rivalries between one another. And this is why the whole issue is so difficult to stop, because the politicians are behind it. Now, in the night, there is always fights between the different ghetto parts. And we ministered in a school for the disadvantaged children of the ghetto, which is another testimony in itself. Let me share, you know, I love testimonies. So let me share that testimony as well. When we were doing the counseling school, they didn't know where we should go for outreach till almost in the end of the lecture phase. They had different places in their mind, and they always felt the Lord say, no, not there, and not there, and not there. Then at one certain point, I think it was 3 weeks before the end of lecture phase, the Lord spoke clearly to those who among the staff that would take us on outreach, that we were to go to Jamaica. And they found it really hard, you know, to trust the Lord that yes, it is Jamaica. So I think it was 3 weeks before the end of lecture phase. So they announced it to us. We quickly bought the ticket. Thank God we didn't need visa for Jamaica. And so we went to Jamaica. The first weeks we were in the Mandeville base, and after 2 weeks we went to Kingston because they had on their heart that we had to go to Kingston. So this was now 5 weeks after that they felt the Lord say, you have to go to Jamaica. Now, in those weeks, they had made contacts with lots of ministries in in Kingston, there was the prison ministry, there was Teen Challenge, and there was a couple of other ministries. And on one day, we went from Mandeville to Kingston to meet up with all those ministries. And 1 week later, we would go and work. So, but we would meet them all first before, and then decide who is going to help in which ministry. We reached that day in Kingston. We had appointments at every ministry. So we called the first one. Yes, we have arrived in Kingston right now. Can we come and meet you? Oh, sorry. No. I'm out of town. Sorry, no, it's not possible today. Call the next one. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, we had an appointment with you, but yeah, no, we are really sorry. We are right now through all kind of reorganizations in our ministry, and yeah, your team cannot come this time. And every door that we thought was open closed in one day. Now, I can tell you, if there is somebody frustrated, that day was our outreach leaders. Those two ladies, they were so frustrated. Because the whole reason why we had come to Jamaica looked like defeated. Every opportunity they had arranged was closing down. The only thing we got a connection with a lady at whose mother's house we could stay. So we had already gone to the mother and seen the house. It was a little bit tight for us, but it was nice. The lady would get a little bit income from our team staying there. And she was an elderly lady, very, very nice and very kind lady. And then we spoke with the daughter, and they shared with the daughter the frustration. And then the daughter said, well, if nothing works out, there is in the ghetto a school for the disadvantaged children of the ghetto. So the problem children of the problem area. And she said that lady for sure will love you to come and minister in her school. Well, but towards the end of afternoon, being desperate, we contacted this principal and we went to the school, where when we entered the ghetto, people looked at us like, what is going on? Because foreigners never enter the ghetto, except if you want to commit suicide, enter the ghetto. And then just imagine, I was the only guy in the team with 5 ladies. Women don't enter the ghetto, foreign women. I mean, except you like to get raped, but I mean, that is a dangerous thing to do. We went to that school, we met the principal, and this woman burst out in tears. We explained to her, how 5 weeks earlier, 2 weeks before, only 3 weeks, sorry, 3 weeks before that we went on outreach, we felt the Lord speak, we had to come to Jamaica, we should go to Kingston, and this woman just started crying. She said, that is 5 weeks ago. She said, and she had a pile of files on her desk from different children. She picked up the files and she said, do you realize that 5 weeks ago, I took these files from the cabinet. These are the children in the school. I don't know what to do with these children. This group of children are causing so much problems. They don't make progress. She said, I don't know what to do. My teachers don't know what to do. She said, 5 weeks ago, I held this pile of files up, literally up to the Lord. And I said, Lord, I don't know what to do with these children. Please send me help. Otherwise, I have to send them away. In that same week, the Lord spoke to our team leaders, go to Jamaica, go to Kingston. And when we spoke with the children, we said, look, when your principal prayed, the Lord spoke to our leaders on the other side of the world, go all the way to Jamaica, go take care of these children. They said, that's the love the Lord has for you. Now, everyone in our team got a few children to do one-on-one counseling with, and we got all a classroom to minister in class setting and do Bible study with them. Among the children I was counseling was one boy, his name was Audley. And Audley had grown up, and as a small boy, he didn't even have a bed. They lived in a shack. His place to sleep was under the table, didn't even have a mattress. His father was alcoholic. And this little boy grew up with so much pain and rejection and confusion and anger, so that when he became a little boy, he was ready to fight anyone. And before even he was in his teenage years, he had gone to the Dawn and he became a gunman for the Dawn. Can you imagine a boy of like 9 years old, 10 years old, and the Dawn gave him a gun and said, patrol the border of our area every night. And this boy would walk around there with his gun, shooting anyone from the neighboring area that comes into the area. This boy had come so full of frustration. When he was 14, 15 years old, probably already killed several people or surely wounded them badly. So full of anger. He met this principal, and she had invited him to come to the school, and he decided he no longer wanted to be a gunman. So he gave his gun back to the Dawn and says, I want to go to school. Now, when I met him, he was 3 years in that school. And for 3 years, all he had learned was just to write his own name. That had taken more than 1 year, but 1.5 years. The teacher, almost in tears, she said, look, I don't know what to do with Audley. After 1.5 years, he finally could write his own name. She said, I even organized a party in the class. But she said, for 3 years, he's in grade 1 and he's still in grade 1 and he cannot move to grade 2 because he has not learned anything. And she said, when anyone teases Audley or mocks him or makes a joke with him, Audley didn't know jokes. Nothing was a joke to him. Life was that serious. And so when other children in the class would tease him or make a joke, Audley would be angry for 3 days. He didn't know how to return back to joy or peace from anger. So he would just remain angry till it would somehow fade out. So I started just giving love and attention to Audley and start listening to him and encouraging him. And I helped him a little bit with his practical schoolwork. And after a few weeks, I had led Audley to a place where he could learn to start trusting the Lord. And I explained to him that the Lord has been all this time with you. When you did not know he was there, when you felt so lonely, when you felt so terrible, I said the Lord was there, right there. And he was feeling that same pain you were feeling. And I said, Audley, you can pray. And you can bring all this pain and hurt and all these situations where you were so afraid and where you were so angry and, so fearful and sad. I said, you can all bring them to the Lord. You can tell the Lord and you can ask him, Lord, where were you? Please show me where you were at that time for me. I want to know. I want to know you and I want to give these situations to you. I can't live with them. Now, he was still so ashamed, that when he prayed that prayer, he did it very quietly, whispering. I couldn't even hear what he was praying, but I could see the change afterwards. I don't know what the Lord exactly did in that time of that prayer with him, but his life after that prayer started changing. And by the time we left, the teacher said, look, I had never had any hope for Audley to move anywhere. She said, but the miracle has happened in these last weeks. Audley has started reading. Audley has started writing, and even above and beyond, Audley has started doing his mathematics. He can suddenly add and subtract. You see, the issue is that there was such a blockage in Audley's development, and the Lord brought some divine healing in him. And she said the other miracle is when any of the other students is teasing or making a joke to Audley, he's maybe annoyed or angry for 3 hours, but it doesn't pass 3 hours any longer. Before the end of the day, he's fine again. She said, I never saw that before in him. So the Lord taught him and restored him inside to return back to joy. Okay, so sometimes you might not know how to do it yourself, but then you please realize the Lord can do it. Okay, and the Lord will show up. when we bring our deepest needs and the deepest needs of those we are ministering to the Lord, and trust him to show up. Okay? Yeah. So now, how do we build joy in our adult life? Okay? Can you hear me? Correct? So it's important to look like, okay, what are the things that build joy? Okay, both for your own life as well. These are things in ministry when you reach out to broken people. Okay? You have to help them to learn to build joy, because if they don't learn to build joy, they will never get a change in their life. Okay? When I was in India, I worked with these wonderful youths in a boys' home. Amazing guys. I really love those guys. I miss them so much. And they love it when outreach teams come. Because when outreach teams come, there is excitement, they do all kind of games, and it's, it's fun. It's like they have such a joy time together because they connect with other people and they get some genuine attention. And that's so important for us. So it's very important when you reach out to people, and even for your own life, what brings you genuine joy? Because that differs for different people.